fun about speaking about this is that I moved to Spain on my own with a child 7 years ago. I didn't have anyone here. I had my teenage daughter that didn't speak Spanish, that I had to subscribe to a private school. So I did all that struggle on my own. I had the highs, but I also had the lows. You obviously have to have a plan and commitment, and you have to do the struggle. But I had a shorts lately that went viral, and since then I think many think I'm French. Les sweet waffles says, sweet grec, mais aime beaucoup France, et le bleu est significatif. But that's the connection. So, and if you haven't noticed, I did my hair a bit darker, and I went quite dark, closer to my natural hair color, so I'm gonna have it like this for a little while, because with the sun and everything, it gets so damaged. I'm very exposed to sun, but I don't like to be too much in the sun. I always like to protect myself. The sun also ages the skin. I don't want too much color, particularly not in my face, because I already have a quite olive toned skin. When I get tan, it looks a bit dusty, so I don't think it looks too flattering. I have a lot of color, but trust me, I'm not boiling myself, and I don't understand how people can cook themselves alive. And I have a lot of color, but this is purely from just running my errands, and I do go swimming every day. I do like 30 laps in the pool every day. The color I have is from swimming, because I can see the lines from my swimsuit. In total, I live in 5 countries, and Greece is not one of them, even though I'm Greek. When I say that I've lived in 5 countries, I mean that I stayed there and had to support myself, make myself a living, pay rents, and stuff like that. And that I've experienced the everyday life and not just visiting as a tourist. The other 4 countries are Sweden. I'm born and raised in Sweden, and that's where I spent most of my life. I also lived in the United States. I started with Charlotte in North Carolina, but then I also moved to Florida, where I stayed near Miami. It's called Fort Lauderdale. It was a fantastic time. I've also been living in Israel, in Tel Aviv, which was also a fantastic place to live, and pre-war, obviously. Even when it's not officially war, it's special living in Israel because you always have to be on alert. I was young and I didn't really understand all these issues, so Israel deserves another video on its own. For instance, soldiers were taking under our seats before we were boarding the bus, in case there was a bomb. And when I was on my way back from my job, I passed the Hacaramel market in Tel Aviv. I'm not sure, do they still have Hacaramel market in Tel Aviv? It was a huge market with fresh vegetables and fruits. I always used to pass there. One day, when I was on my way back from work, they had sealed the place. There were soldiers. There are soldiers everywhere in Israel, so you have to get used to that, being around soldiers all the time. That's the normal. For you who are not used with soldiers as the normal, that would be like culture shock, I think. And there were police and soldiers everywhere, and there was also a robot going there. So I asked the woman next to me, what's going on here? Oh, they just think it's a bomb. Yeah, that's the mentality. Oh, they just think it's a bomb because they're so used to bombs. Can you imagine? They're so used with terrorists. So they were sending this robot around there. I think I will pass the market today. I live in Tel Aviv, but I went to all parts of Israel, like Eilat and the Negev Desert. I was drinking hot chocolate with the Bedouins, Jerusalem, of course, and the historical and the biblical sites. 4,000 years of documented history. That's amazing. As a Greek, as one of the oldest civilizations, like we also have 4,000 documented history, I found it amazing. In the middle of Jerusalem, I can see Orthodox churches, Orthodox priests. It was fantastic. I loved it. Each country deserves a video on its own, and especially Israel with all these controversial things going on. Living in Spain though, I'm going to do the pros and the cons, so I don't want Spanish people to feel offended. I just need to speak as it is, going to a foreign country, what you need to expect. Because all cultures are different. Spain is a two of them. It's very international, so that makes things easier for me. Obviously, moving to Madrid and Barcelona, which other larger cities will give you more opportunities depending on what kind of career you want to make. But also here where I am, Costa del Sol, it's very international. There are so many international companies. So, but you also need to be aware that the salaries in Spain are not that good. You are from a northern country or Western Europe or used to a salary that's about 2,000, let's say. A normal monthly salary in Spain, you won't get more than 1,000, 1,500 euros after tax, and that's a good salary. I would personally not accept that kind of salary. So you need to find things that work for you and have a plan. Like many people that come to Spain, they give up their careers. I gave up my career. It was within the Swedish authorities in the prison system. So I had a very good job and I was climbing and I was at the top and I said, from here I can't go further within my city. I need to move to advance even further in my career. So at that time I know this is it. This is the time I'm going to move. I was already saturated and very satisfied with what I've been doing in Sweden with my career. So I was ready to leave that behind. Came to Spain, I started doing sales within the real estate market, which is very lucrative here. And I was still a bit, not really accepting that I gave up my career. So the first year I was still, thinking about prison life, basically. It was very important to have a place where I can call home, or at least somewhere where I can start to go to the next place. I arranged my first apartment and my job before I moved. So when I came to Spain, everything was fixed, at least for a start. When I was new here, I met a Danish guy at the company I worked for. He gave a very good tip how to make a small fortune in Spain. Well, you come with a big fortune. Yeah, and he has a point because you need to have savings because first time it will be a little struggle. People said to me in Sweden, I know they meant well, but they said, if things don't turn out well in Spain, you can always come back. It's true, you can always go back. But for me, it was not an option going back. Why am I selling off everything I have here and giving up my career and everything to move to another country just to come back? For me, that was not an option. Of course, it is an option in reality, but no, I'm not a quitter. I'm just going forward, and if things don't turn out good, I found something better. I just want to make improvements in my life. So if something doesn't turn out well, I make sure it goes well and I do something else even better. Maybe I need to move to another country or home to Greece or who knows. The climate this year is fantastic. We have a tropical climate, so it's summer almost all year round. I love when autumn comes because we still have like 15, 20 degrees. You can dress up more. Like now in summer, I'm more like with these comfortable clothes. It's not really dressy always, but it's nice when autumn comes. You can put a boot on or a blazer or something like that. My favorite time is when September comes and the rest of the year to December because it gets a bit more quiet, not too crowded, not too much traffic, tourists start to leave and it's not as hot anymore and I can just relax more. Need to stay hydrated. You now have to be very careful. I know you can make very good friends here, but it's hard to start over. I'm not the kind of person that brings people into my life too easy, too close. I like my space. I'm very independent. I'm very secure in myself. If there are things that I'm not feeling 100% about, I'm just staying away from it totally. It's like this thing that would make me feel doubt. I'd rather go home. I have my cat here. He's sleeping next to me. As soon as I arrived in Spain, I felt home. I was very well adjusted from the start. I didn't have a culture shock. I felt at home as soon as I arrived. Even though I've been here for 7 years, I still feel like a tourist So I rather stay hanging out with myself or my cats than people that have low standards. Yeah, this is a bit cultural because you will find that many places don't have good service. You should also be aware that many don't speak English here. Let's say I'm in the store, want to pay for something, and there are two sales assistants available. They're just talking to each other about what they did last night or something, I don't know. They're just chatting, and they continue doing their things as chatting. Instead of paying attention to me, that's staying there, want to pay, they just continue till they are finished with a chat or whatever. So that we see a lot of here, and that's really annoying. In general, they're not service-minded. It is widespread around here, so I think it's more cultural. I'm not saying all are like that, but in general, that's the feeling I get, and that's what I experienced. Also, you will have some backlashes as a foreigner. Some are fed up and don't like tourists. I'm going to tell you a personal experience. They can also be jealous. Okay, jealousy you will find everywhere. Community around them is very Spanish. Okay, there are foreigners, but not so many, but they're mainly Spanish. And the one that's like, they call it presidente, but she's not president, she's a very miserable woman like this, right? Where I'm staying, I'm very low profile. I live a very quiet life. I don't want to flash with anything. For instance, if I go to a restaurant on the seafront in Marbella and I have a nice bag, a nice outfit, when I'm on my way home, I always go straight through the garage into my apartment, so no one around here can see what I'm wearing, what bag I have. I just don't want to cause someone to get an eye on. Some people have things in the back of their mind. They are savage. So what she did a couple of years ago, this was 2 years ago, Zara came from Sweden, and he had some problems with the brakes. So I had it in a garage for over a month because they needed some parts from America. And I really needed a car to get to work because I was in real estate and I had to have my car, you know? So instead of having a rental car, I decided to get another car. For a short period of time, I had 2 cars because I was planning to sell the car that had been in the garage. And many of my neighbors have 2 cars. Some of them have 3. I don't have an issue with that. What people buy with their money and how many cars they have is not my issue. But this little woman, she's very masculine, but when she saw that I jumped into my new car, that must have fucked up her mind. I don't have the car anymore, but I can say it was a Porsche Cayenne. I was out for my morning jog, and I saw her sitting in her car doing something on her phone. I didn't think much about that, but when I came back, a police was staying by my Swedish car. That looked weird. So instead of going home, I ran back. Yeah, he's standing by my car. So I went to him and I said, "This is my car, is there any problem?" He was standing on my parking. That's when I experienced that Spain is also corrupt. Which she was like in charge of this community, making some decisions when painting and gardening and stuff like that. She called this policeman, which is obviously also her friend. The policeman said, "Well, you have 2 cars." So he actually over-talked. He could have said something else like, I don't know what, but like, is this an option? Just because I have 2 cars, I live here, this is my parking, my car is in my parking. But it was decided they're gonna take the car, so they actually called Grua, which is this, I don't know the English word, but this is the truck where you transfer the cars. But it's not illegal to have 2 cars, and I live here, this is my parking. Yes, but you have 2 cars. I was shocked, this can't be true, this is illegal, he's taking my car, which is lawfully on my parking. So they took the car, and to get it out, I had to pay a fine, 250 euros. Plus this transportation, 100 euros, plus for the 2 days my car had been in their garage. So that cost me in total 370 euros for nothing. Here you can't argue with the police, they are authorities. You don't have any say, but they do whatever they want. was the same with the corona when we had to have the mask. They would stop. If I had the mask pulled down, they would stop me to fine €100. And I realized I'm a nobody. It's really ain't worth a shit without power. Yeah. I wanted to keep my cayenne because who doesn't want to have it, of course? When I found that this card gives me bad energy and it attracts bad things into my life, it wasn't the card fault, but I just want to have a peaceful life, so I sold it and I got a smaller, more normal card. It's quite sad, but it's too corrupt. If I was living in another neighborhood, I wouldn't have these kind of issues, and I don't want to move. So let's say if I was living in Marbella where everyone has a Porsche Cayenne, that wouldn't be an issue. But as I live here where it's more Spanish and they have their old cars, well, it wasn't popular having that car, honestly. I just wanted peace and quiet, so I sold the car and I got a more normal car, a car that I love, honestly. But, well, it's just a car anyway, and if I move to a more normal place, I can get the car I want again. It wasn't about the car, it was just to explain that it is a bit corrupt, obviously. Another thing is the schedule, the hours. Everything here starts later, so I'm a morning person. I like to get up early, I want to have my coffee early, I want to do my exercise early, I want to start work early so I can finish earlier, basically. Everything here starts later. So I noticed that when I go to lunch with friends. With my Swedish and my Western European friends, it's like normal. So when we set an hour for lunch, it's always going to be around like 1 o'clock or something. But then I have friends that they're not Spanish, but they are like Spanish because they live here for 20 years. So when we say we're going to have lunch, they always take a time after 3 o'clock. So everything is like later. It's okay, I can't stretch it to 3, that's the problem. The biggest shock for me was when we were going out for dinner. For me, dinner is a time, let's say 7, latest 8. 8 o'clock is the latest to go out and have something to eat. Other thing later than that is more if you're going for a drink. First time I was having dinner with these more Spanish friends, and she wrote back and says, well, I already booked the table at 21:45, quarter to 10. I wasn't really happy with that. I could have said, well, can we meet a little bit earlier? But I just didn't want to be a pain in the ass. I said, well, I'm going to do it the Spanish way this time. But I was a little bit on edges all week. Oh my God, now I have to stay up to 10 just to have food, and the food's going to be in like 11. And wow. And if you go to drinks, you can imagine it's going to be even further after midnight. I don't drink, but I can just imagine. I don't drink because I haven't